Now we're joined in studio now by YouTube sensation, podcaster, just about to go on tour as well. A bit more details on that. West Ham fan, JaackMaate. Jack, good to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me on, lads.
It's a great
very welcome.
This is surreal for me. I've always got talkSPORT on in the car.
Yeah, you were telling us. I saw a tweet from you a few months ago, and you said, "I've come to talkSPORT late, and I listen to it all the time now. I absolutely love it." How did that come about, then?
Well, the missus wanted a different radio station on to play pop hits all the time.
Yeah.
I was just a bit sick of it. So one day I sort of overruled her, talkSPORT on. It's never been off since.
And you got into it. Fantastic.
That's where the trade goes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've actually
singing the adverts.
Exactly. Well, you're off on tour very soon, and I've always said Paul and Andy should go on tour, and I said I'll come along and I'll just sing the adverts.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be quite a nice little touch.
3 or 4 minute break every 15 minutes.
It's the band playing, you know.
Yeah. That's right. You can be. You can have your untucked shirt on.
Get down to sell a bit of wicks.
Knowing you tuck your shirt.
I'll do your ads. I'm a YouTuber. We do ads all the time. I'll do your ads.
I don't need a mattress. It's all right.
It's incredible, really. That you've got a huge following on YouTube and all social media. A podcast is incredibly popular. How did it all come about? What was the story then? How did you kind of get into this world?
Oh, mate, I was doing it from my voice keeps breaking at the moment. I've just done it on the radio.
Don't be nervous.
I started when I was at school, and I was like now everyone and their dog's doing it, but I was doing it like early on, and I was just watching a few other YouTubers that were. I remember watching this guy just bought 10 packets of wine gums and counted how many of each colour you get, and I thought that's something I can do. Wow. That's in my skill set.
I haven't got the link to that. It sounds good. I quite like it.
Wine gums, you say?
Yeah, wine gums. Counting wine. Yeah.
So I just started making sort of weird videos and stuff, wanting to be a YouTuber. I actually made a name for myself doing comedy skits, kind of taking the mick out of other YouTubers. Right. Because I met a lot. I wanted to be a YouTuber. I met a lot of them at these conventions, and they were a bit pretentious. Like the first thing they say is, "How many subscribers have you got? How much money do you make?" And I thought, we're just normal people having a laugh, aren't we? So I started doing.
I just scrop out my next 2 questions.
That's ruined it. We spent hours working on them, didn't we?
I told you wouldn't have answered that before.
1.4 million and in debt. The answers to that.
Yeah.
So made a name for myself on that, and then a couple of years ago, I just kind of got bored of doing that. I'm almost 30 now, so I thought I'd do a podcast. I've always been interested in interviewing people and learning about sort of new things. So I started a podcast with my 2 mates, and the rest is history.
It's funny, I always think about the people who do competitive eating and eating challenges on YouTube. I don't know, what was the catalyst? What was that tipping point? What was the moment when they were 3/4 of the way through an Olympic breakfast, eating that 12 sausage, and they thought, do you know what? This is a living. Yeah, I could turn this into a living. I mean, when was the moment for you? You thought, well, okay, this could be a full-time job.
I was doing it weekly for 7 years without earning a penny, and then there was a YouTuber called Zoella who released an advent calendar that was £50. There was only 12 doors in it, and it was quite rubbish, to be fair. So I made a comedy sketch about it, pretending to be a beauty. That's my voice again.
Yeah.
God,
don't worry about it.
It's because I play Sunday League, and I was shouting a lot of the weekend.
Sweet mixer.
So I reviewed this calendar. That went super viral. It's got about 6 million views now. Wow. And ever since then, the people just come back and want more. But it's really, nowadays, it's really the podcast that is front and centre of everything I do.
I've got a 15-year-old son, and these days, when you ask that age of person what they want to do, it's gone from being professional footballer to YouTuber. Mate, a lot of the time it's YouTuber or TikToker or whatever. Yeah. And so you are living a lot of their dreams, you know.
Well, they did a poll. I recently did a speech back at my old school. They invited me back to do a speech.
You'll never amount to anything.
Yeah.
You're an absolute waste. Stop counting wine gums. That'll never get you anywhere.
Like the Christmas Father Ted settling scores with people who'd never... When you got the Golden Clerical Award.
Mr. Jackson, the science teacher.
Let me go back, mate. 4 hours in. Jack is a waste of space. He will never amount to anything. C-. Is he still here? Oh, he died. Fair enough.
But they did a poll, I think, around the country, and I think YouTuber was top one of what people want to be. Don't get me wrong, I'm not massive. Like KSI, he's massive. Sidemen are massive.
I've got an idea for you there. Okay. Actually, this is my idea. I'm going to pitch, Paul.
Not celebrity taxidermy. Stop selling that to anybody who comes in the studio.
That's for someone else. That's for ITVX. No, this is for you, Jack, mate. Yeah. Which is you take now you're a big podcast, obviously. Yeah. Podcast boxing.
How would that work?
podcast, but I reckon you could take on easily the parenting hell lads.
Okay.
So you, Josh is a tiny
Josh,
little
yeah.
fella.
Josh is not built
You
for
could
boxing,
take
is he?
Josh, no trouble.
I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'd happily.
Okay.
Yeah, if the money's right.
The Tail Enders, lads. That's quite a successful podcast.
That's Greg James, is it?
Greg James, quite tall. I don't know.
Imagine Felix, he's wiry, he'd be a bit handy. He'd be like Tommy Hearns.
Well, you could send Robbie Knox in against him, perhaps, the Peter Crouch
YouTube
thing,
boxing.
Not YouTube boxing, podcast boxing.
Oh, sorry, podcast boxing.
And it's sound audio only.
Oh, but are you scrapping though? Are you actually scrapping?
You're actually fighting, but all we want to hear is whack.
I like it. I like it. I'll do it. Crouchy's like, I'm quite tall myself, 6'3", but people say
you'd be giving away 3 inches there.
Range, not the first time.
No way.
Very,
Crouchy. Keep you away with his jab, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I can't fight to save my life, so. We'll leave that to KSI and the Sidemen, I think.
I don't think it's a good idea. Okay, I'll scrub that one out.
But tell me more about that celebrity taxidermy.
It's called Get Stuffed.
It's called Get Stuffed.
You thought it through.
Yeah.
You have people bringing in their animals that have passed, and they want to. It's like repair shop.
You want them restored to their glory. The trouble is, you're asking ex people from Hollyoaks to do it,
right?
They take your beautiful sort of Doberman that sadly passed on that you want restored to greatness. They turn it into some terrible mutant hound because they don't know what they're doing.
You've got Jimmy Cranky stuff in it, and she don't know what she's doing.
Yeah,
she ain't got a clue.
Yeah,
I thought you meant when you said celebrity taxidermy. I thought you meant something completely different.
It's hour 3, and Jimmy's ferret is looking less like a ferret with every passing hour.
The cheeky girls are struggling with a hamster.
Yeah. That's a very different show.
That's a very different show, Move on from
so
that.
you're touring. You're on tour. You're taking it on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just you, though, isn't it? Tell us who's on tour with you.
It's me and my 2 co-hosts. So Stevie White, who's just my mate who used to work in Boots. That I'm sort of bringing along for a
Good
day
for
out.
A meal deal.
Yeah. And Robbie Knox, formerly of Soccer AM. He was Tramp there. He's a co-host of mine. So, we're just taking the podcast on tour. 14 dates across the UK. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's called the Round Sheep Tour.
Nice.
Still not
Any
completely sure. Well, I am, but it makes our show look a lot more highbrow than it is, right? A couple of weeks ago, we were discussing like the etymology of phrases, like who let the cat out of the bag and stuff like that. And we found out that I think "let the cat out of the bag" was just a few blokes in a pub like 100 years ago come up with it. So I'm not going to leave much of a legacy behind. So I thought if we can come up with a phrase and get all of our listeners to use it, and we coined the phrase "round sheep," and to us that means makes you think. So ever in your day-to-day life something makes you think.
In context, and how would you use round sheep? Give us a sentence.
So you might say to me, is Haaland really that good, or is he just in a good squad? And I'd go, round sheep.
Oh, okay.
Saying it out loud, I lose confidence in it every time I say it. So
I don't think you've been listening to enough talkSPORT, because what we get now is, of course, he's good enough.
Yeah. right.
You idiot! What are you on about, you idiots? What are you even doing on talkSPORT? That's what you'll get.
We get enough of that on our pod as well.
Yeah. So you're in Birmingham, 1st of Feb, Reading, Guildford, Cardiff, all the big cities.
When you were doing your skits of the other YouTubers, did they take it well? I mean, generally, did they like or not? Or did you ever get any pushback?
They didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
No, but since sort of moving on from that, I've had a lot of those people on my podcast to sort of chat it out and stuff. It's like basically my whole spiel was I'm so privileged to live this life I have. Like, whereas I don't feel like a lot of them back in the day took it like they thought because they had X amount of subscribers that meant they were better than people. So their first port of call was like they gain an audience. Well, what stuff can I sell them for as much as possible? Yeah, and I was just like. Oh, that's not what it's about, is it? Like having the audience is the prize itself. So a lot of them.
I don't think you're privileged, Jack. If I'm being honest, I think you've seen a market that is building, and you've managed to hit the market and hit it at the right time and grow it because you're obviously a very nice person, and you've managed to grow it with you and your personality.
I appreciate that.
That isn't privilege. That's just being good at business.
I appreciate
being good
that.
at show business.
And that's why we have tried to keep the tickets as cheap as they're
£80.
80 quid. Meet and greet 250. Yeah, so
it's not 80 quid before it is it? I don't know. I haven't got any prices here.
19 quid.
Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it?
19 quid. And also another reason, to be completely honest with you, is if it's a load of rubbish, they can't really complain.
That is true. There's only 19 quid. What would you expect?
Yeah,
that's true.
Of course it's going to be rubbish.
So you kick off in Birmingham, 1st of Feb, and Reading, Guildford, Cardiff, Southampton, York, Edinburgh, Newcastle, Bristol, Cambridge. You've got playing the Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, and then Norwich.
Nice venue.
Yeah, I think we've added the Manchester Apollo in there as well.
Oh,
which
fantastic!
It's scary times, fun times.
And what's I mean, is it going to be the three? Is it kind of an extension of the podcast, or have you got some pyrotechnics, or what have you got planned? You don't want to give away all the secrets, but
I think there might be a little smoke machine in there.
Oh, hang on a minute.
That's always good.
Yeah. We're basically doing what we do on the podcast, but live. We're going to get a lot of audience interaction. We do this little strand called confessions, so the audience can submit their confessions and we'll choose whether or not they're forgiven or not. We did a little warm-up show at the Waterfront in Norwich, and we made some up because we thought if they're not that juicy, we might have to make some up. Turns out you don't have to make them up. People have done some weird stuff.
People want to tell you everything as well. They really want to tell you.
Too much.
And the thing is, I suppose, everything's content, isn't it? So I'm assuming you... being in the van, I don't know what you'll be in, a bus, a van. What do you think? What will you be in? How will you be travelling around? All that will be content. Where you stay will be content. It's wonderful. It's good, isn't it?
We have a huge tour bus, like a rock and roll tour bus, with our faces on the side. It's gonna be pretty special.
Full Spinal Tap.
Yes.
I wonder if in the world of coach travel they've got, because back in the day you used to see pictures of footballers in the 70s and 80s, and they'd be on those coaches that would have a lamp in the middle with a sort of tasselled lampshade which was welded to the thing. So all the boys would play cards round the lampshade. I
like it.
And you'd have two and two facing each other, so they could all kind of talk when they were on their way from sort of getting picked up outside the Green Man, the West Ham players, going up to Carlisle or whatever. They all sit there playing cards. There must be these retro coaches that had the little lampshade with the tassels on that you could play cards around.
Maybe that's going to be on my rider. That's all I want. Just a tasseled lamp.
A tasseled lampshade bolted to the table, so the three of us...
A bit weird, but okay.
That can have a tear up when we played cards. It used to get quite... all the players playing cards back in the day, imagine that. The idea of going to an away game and someone taking, like in the latest years, someone taking 10 grand off you on a coach,
and then you've got Rotherham away,
and then you've got to play them,
getting clogged.
There was a story of one player, and I could never ever mention his name, but was basically hounded out of a club because he cheated at cards. They found out he was cheating, and the rest of the players said to the manager, "You've got to get rid of him. When none of us want to play with him again." You know, if that's what he's like as a bloke when he plays cards with his teammates, he's taking money off him.
Wow.
They had to sell him.
Wow.
Sell all the players.
I was, again, I can't mention the name, but I was chatting to a player a couple of years ago, and he said that, and this is recent Premier League times, he said that the manager would go to bed in the hotel room, and then all the players would sneak out, go in one of the players' rooms, and they'd just be playing cards until about 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's very mad. And that's without the lampshade. They've taken the lampshades away.
Wait, no one said they didn't have the lampshade.
No, they may have unscrewed it from the coach and taken it in. You can only play cards around that one lampshade.
Quite a lampshade-based chat.
Yeah, it was.
There was more lampshade in this interview than I thought there'd be.
Yeah, there was. It was quite lampshade heavy, wasn't it? We should have got Frank Lampshade Jr. on.
Nice.
Come on. Let's have your lampshade-based players. No, let's not bother, West Ham are your team.
Yes.
How did that come about then? Was it a sort of family thing?
Yeah, my dad's from London, so when I was about 3 months old, he slapped the West Ham beanie hat on me, and a life of misery was to come.
Strange times, and they're saying that this. I mean, either the managers could go this weekend, couldn't they? So there are a lot of the papers in front of the Telegraph Sport saying last chance saloon for David Moyes. They lose against Everton, that's it.
Yeah. See, I love David Moyes, right? I think this, like, I've been a West Ham fan my whole life. I've seen us struggling, relegation battles, being in the champ, having to come up through the playoffs, like all of those bad times. He's given us some of the best years we've ever had. And a lot of the sort of West Ham fans out there on Twitter will say that I'm just saying that because I'm employed by the club, but that's not the case at all. They don't care what. I'm only a presenter. I can give my opinion. And I think, like, the grass isn't always greener. Of course, we're not doing very well this season. We're not. But we've brought in a lot of new players, and they do need time to bed.
Danny Ings today's turning up.
I'm buzzing with that. I'm buzzing with that.
That's a good bit of
And I think maybe there's rumours that Antonio's maybe out the back, like, leaving. So I don't know. I'm still just Moyes just for what he's given us and stuff. And I think we live in this world where managers just get the boot too quickly. And I've seen some of the names that we've been linked to, like Rafa Benitez. For me, that's just a sideways step. So I'm still Moyes I'm still confident. It's just
that is always the way. If not them, who, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there's no obvious answer, then I always think
don't get me wrong. If Tuchel would come. But he's not going to, especially with where we are in the league. If Tuchel would come, then my stance on it might be a little bit different. But that Europa League run we had, there's some special memories. London Stadium started to feel like a home after that Seville win and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, David Moyes, I'll give him a bit more time.
We've got a lampshade given.
Lampshade given.
Anders Lampshade and Jimmy Floyd Tasselbank.
Okay, that's it. I think
it's not
probably
you've probably done it.
Tariq Lamptey.
Oh, there it is. You've done it. We don't. See, that's why you're on tour and these losers aren't.
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't call people losers.
Fantastic. So, well, have a lovely time on tour. Enjoy. Is this the first time you've toured?
First time, yeah. Rock and roll, baby.
It should be good, shouldn't it?
Looking forward to it.
The podcast is exclusively on Spotify, is it?
It is. It's called JaackMate's Happy Hour. We interview celebrities and fun people and stuff like that. We've had your very own Laura Woods on recently as well. Yeah, come and give that a listen if you want, and we'd love to see you on tour. Come and see us on tour.
Absolutely.
Great stuff.
Who have been your favourite celebs? Who are the ones you've had to pinch yourself now and again when you've had them on?
Early on, we got Ricky Gervais. I'm a huge fan of Ricky Gervais. I'm also massive into my darts as well, and we had Gezi Price on. But the number one for me, being a lifelong West Ham fan, we had Mark Noble on a few months ago.
Nice.
He gave us a 2-hour interview as well, and I think that's the longest interview
he's
he's
got
ever.
Nothing to do now, isn't he?
Yeah, he was plugging the book.
He's a good lad, isn't he? We interviewed him a few years ago, and he was very, very good. So I think and top man, isn't he?
Top guy. He had a little. I did get in a little bit of trouble with him though. He was about to leave our studio, and he was in his car. And he'd done the window down. He said West Ham were playing Blackburn in the League Cup that night, and he said, "Jack, you coming to London Stadium?" And I went, "No, I've got a bit on." He went, "You'd be coming if that's the Europa League." I was like, and you get that voice crack there. It was because it was Mark Noble.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, skipper.
Mark Noble shouting part-time supporter.
Well,
good to see you, Jack.
Thanks so much for having me on, lad. It's been a pleasure.
So people can find you, obviously, they can find you all over social media, but they want details of the tour. They can find that on JaackMate's Happy Hour podcast. Go and find that on Twitter, Jack's Happy Hour. Jaack with 2 A's, and you can get all the details of the tour, where to get your tickets. It starts on the 1st of February. It's Paul Hawksbee and Charlie Baker here on talkSPORT.
Paul Hawksbee and Charlie Baker, every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon from 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.